What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Twigger, and I'm here with my co-caster, Alex, for Week 3, Day number 1 of the Toronto eSports League of Legends Tournament, with the first game going on, which is Artificial Gravity versus Nightmare Abstract. We've already got the teams into Champion Select. Alex, what can you tell me about the two teams?
Yeah, interested to see what the bans are going to be coming out here. We do have a bit of an edge coming for the Artificial Gravity team. They are 3-1, I believe. And we have Nightmare Abstract at 0-4, so expected to see Artificial Gravity take this one. Going in here, we got Udyr and Fiora banned out on Artificial Gravity side, and Gragas coming out. All pretty expected bans here. Udyr still very prominent champion with the Runic Echoes build. Lots of movement speed and lots of tankiness, able to split push the map, and same with Fiora. So getting rid of two split pushers there, and on the other side, getting rid of two team fighters. Gragas and Nautilus both very good at initiating fights.
It's looking like they're fairly standard bans, nothing really out of the blue coming up here. It doesn't look like anything are really targeted bans or anything like that, but
yeah,
just in regards to that Udyr pick, I know that I'm not the only person who has faced that Runic Echoes tank Udyr and have not been able to kill him, and also the amount of damage he throws out at you, but looking like we have a Thresh as the third ban on the blue side, targeting a little bit of a support ban.
That's pretty interesting. So just after the bans, things to note is all the 80 carries are still up, so Kog'Maw still available, Lucian still available, and Corki as well. So we might see those coming out in the draft here. Still one ban left, and there's still the Alistar and Braum picks available as well. So those are the two most favored supports right now. We'll see if those actually come out or if these teams have another idea in mind. And
there we go. So
yeah,
that's exactly what I was thinking when we said that the Kog'Maw was still available. Are we going to be seeing this Kog'Maw come out? It's not locked in yet, but one of those things that Kog'Maw right now with that Guinsoo's Rage Blade, we were talking about it earlier today, Alex, that just his attack speed buffs that are coming with his W, just being able to stack that Guinsoo's Rage Blade so quickly, having a 2-item Kog'Maw mid-game can take out a tank line like nobody's business, but it doesn't look like the purple team or the red team is going to have many tanks because they banned the majority of them anyways.
Yeah, as far as tanks go, Poppy still available, and jungler tanks as well, so Lee Sin possibly coming out. Elise also with that tank build is a possibility, and Rek'Sai. So we might see that coming from either team here.
So the Kog'Maw not being picked,
yeah,
and it looks like they're going for the Lulu instead.
I think it's a good idea to not go with that first pick Kog'Maw, because it kind of does shoehorn you into the protect the Kog'Maw composition, and picking it first pick gives a lot away. It's usually much better to go for the flex of the Lulu. She can go 3 spots, top, mid, and the support role.
Hey,
so
I've seen Machine Gun Lulu go ADC. It's not common, but
yeah,
she could go there too.
I mean, really, she can go anywhere, so that's why she's such a valuable first pick. Doesn't give away anything about your comp. Soraka actually getting locked in right away there with the Vi.
I personally dislike going up against a Soraka.
Yeah, we are on 6.4 patch, so there's a couple changes to Soraka to talk about as well, but we'll try and get into those in the... Actually, you know, we probably have time now. Yeah, so they changed the cooldown on her Q ability. It is now 5 seconds at all ranks, I believe. And that's going to be able to give her some regenerated healing on herself. And I believe they nerfed her, just her, you know, static healing in lane. So she won't be able to sit there and heal up her 80 carry as much. But still going to be very effective.
Still enough to be very annoying.
Exactly, that's still going to be her role. You know, she's still Soraka, still has that ultimate to heal up the whole team, and then W for the targeted healing there.
It's looking like these guys are taking... I don't know if it's necessarily that these teams are talking a lot about their strategy before locking in picks, but definitely taking a while to actually lock in their champions. But we are seeing a Jarvan and a Renekton. So Renekton probably going to be going up in that top lane, and Jarvan, well, you know, probably going to be in the jungle. But we have also seen people like Keen, back when Gravity was a big team in North America, that they would run a mid lane Jarvan. So I'm not going to discount that, but we're likely going to see Jarvan in the jungle.
Yeah, they do have that Lulu as well. So right now looking like they're going to have the Lulu mid, Renekton top, and jungle Jarvan there. So still both bottom lane picks left to be picked here for Artificial Gravity.
Darius being locked in for the top lane on the red side. Very strong top lane pick, but It's going to be finally a top lane matchup that isn't just going to be two wet noodles slapping each other around. We are going to see some real damage coming out of people like a Renekton and a Darius, and a Vayne getting locked in for Chosen Legacy there.
Yeah, pretty solid pick because they already have those two tanks, or tankier picks, and in addition, the Lulu bonus health allows the Vayne Silver Bolts to get some extra damage there if she procs that. So you do want something to be able to burn through those tanks, although with the Kog'Maw available, he might be able to do better in the mid game at taking down those tanks. Vayne scales a little bit later on than the Kog'Maw, so he's going to need a little bit more time farming on his own before they can actually use that in the fights.
Oh, and could we see the LeBlanc? I like the idea of the blue team not going for that Kog'Maw, which I think a lot of teams would have gone for the Kog'Maw just because of his strength, but against a champion like a Vi, who just has such a great ultimate with Assault and Battery, just being able to lock down a single target for such a prolonged period of time and have your team collapse in on them. Kog'Maw, with his very minimal amount of escapes, basically flash and a little bit of goo to slow you down, definitely a solid pick against what a Kog'Maw would be. So going for somebody who has a little bit more mobility, like the Kalista, like the LeBlanc, I like those picks.
Yeah, definitely a solid choice. She'll be able to keep herself more safe, and it allows the Lulu to potentially empower someone else if needed. You know, the Jarvan with the Lulu follow-up ultimate is able to get a nice AoE knock up there, so that's always a bit better if you can use that optimally.
So we didn't comment, it's a Lulu support. We didn't quite realize that, but
so LeBlanc going for the mid.
Unless it's a Renekton support that we just don't know about, but it's probably going to be Lulu support in this one.
Yeah, most likely Lulu support. Another change that is relevant for this patch is that Jarvan ultimate is updated, so his damage now procs on anyone in the field, so that's going to make him bit of a strong team fighter.
Game changer.
Still very similar if, you know, in those smaller skirmishes he'll get a bit more damage on, but mostly a change that's going to be affecting the team fights later on.
And before we go to the break here, just wanted to kind of comment, the Annie in the mid lane, such a strong champion for team fights especially,
yeah, and
with
also,
that AoE stun.
Also really good against the LeBlanc actually, because she has that point and click stun. So if she can get that off and follow up with the rest of her damage, she can burst her out.
Yeah. So guys, we're just going to go into a 3-minute little break here. Sadly, we do have to wait for the delay for the teams to get into the game. We're just going to go to a quick little loading screen while we are waiting here. But guys, thank you so much for tuning into Week 3, Day 1 of the Toronto eSports Tournament. We're going to be getting into the first game, Artificial Gravity versus Nightmare Abstract. Be right back, enjoy the music, talk amongst yourselves, and we will see you guys back here in just a couple minutes. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Thanks for joining us for Week 3, Day 1 of the Toronto eSports League of Legends tournaments with Artificial Gravity versus Nightmare Abstract. Just going to quickly look at the Keystone Masteries here. Both top... Oh, I'm not even going to be able to talk about it.
That's okay. They were all pretty standard.
Fairly... Except the one thing that I wanted to comment on was the Renekton had a Thunderlord's Decree on him.
Okay,
which
so going
seemed kind
for
of
a bit more of a burst in lane tactic.
And the Darius had the Storm Raider's Surge, so looking for that
Movement
beefy
speed.
hit, like... beefy amount of damage at the beginning and then moving onwards from there.
Yeah, that is interesting. And we do see a bit of an invade coming for the... actually, both teams lining up for a bit of an invade here. We'll see who can scout their way into a bush.
Come on, level 1 fight, level 1 fight!
AG actually is a bit of an advantage here because they were able to sneak into that bush unscouted, and they did see the movement coming, so they're just going to wait here in the bush and probably try and pick someone
here
off
comes
at
the
end.
engage. So it looks like Annie taking a little bit of damage at the beginning, but it looks like Darius taking some as well. Annie's a little bit split off from the team, but a lot of damage being traded onto the Renekton, no, the Jarvan as well. But it looks like the flash coming out of the LeBlanc trying to get onto the Vi, the flash coming down from the Vayne as well. Is anybody actually going to pick something up here? I don't believe they have another form of CC to try to stop the Vayne from getting away, but that is a couple summoner spells at least. The LeBlanc really chasing with her distortion. But there we go, the little bit of a heal coming out of the Soraka, and that's going to be the end of that one. But let's look at the summoners that were taken down. So Jarvan and LeBlanc using both of their flashes, Kalista using her heal, the Vi and the Vayne using their flashes. So technically it was a win for AG on that one.
Yeah, a bit of a chaotic fight there. As we said, it was from the fog of war, and both teams kind of had to react unexpectedly. And there's not a lot of CC there, level 1, so yeah, it was just a bit of a brawl, and no one getting taken down there, but a lot of summoners burned, so we'll probably see some pressure onto those members with no summoners. However, one thing is LeBlanc isn't too threatened without that flash because she has a lot of mobility already, so it's more valuable to lose the flash on that Vayne.
But we are seeing, it looks like there is a bit of a lane swap here, so looks like we're really seeing some advanced strategies here. We have the double jungle of the Renekton and the Jarvan currently going on their red buff, sharing that experience to make sure that the Renekton's not going to fall too far behind, going up against a Vayne Soraka. I think both of these teams have fairly good lane swapping capabilities, but once again, the solo top laner is not really having the greatest amount of time getting CS because they are both melee champions, so they're going to be taking a lot of poke damage from these ranged carries.
Yeah, so a couple things we have to watch out for here is because Artificial Gravity initiated this lane swap, we see Best Calves and I Like Pie here jungling together. So the jungler is going to stay a bit healthier, and they're going to clear also a bit faster. So we'll see if they can use that advantage to pressure 2v1 against the jungler. But they also have the option of coming up into this top lane, and yeah, it looks like that's what they're going to do. If they just come up to this top lane 4-on-1, they can pressure the tower and just take the tower, and they'll be able to get it faster than the two members in the bottom lane, the Vayne and Soraka.
There's no vision, so he does not. The Darius doesn't know that this is currently happening. He could very well get Dove here, a 4-man dive onto the Darius. A lot of damage going down onto the Lulu, and another turret shot is actually going to kill the Lulu. So first blood did go over to the Kalista, which is great in a successful turret dive, but sadly the Lulu taking a big amount of damage from the Q from Darius, and then 2 turret shots going to secure her demise.
Yeah, I like the choice there to go for the dive. They knew they had 4-on-1 because everyone else was on the map, except for the Vi, but you know she's going to be in her jungle. So 4-on-1, smart move to take the dive, and trading 1 for 1 there is actually pretty solid because, as you said, Kalista gets the first blood, and they're able to pressure the tower with 3 members. So that's going to be in their favor, and they should be able to take down the tower. And they did give the gold solo over to that Renekton, so when they do swap back, if it's Renekton versus Darius, the Renekton's going to have a big advantage there.
And now we've got to see, it was a smart idea for the Darius to TP down into the bot lane, keeping that minion alive for a little bit longer to get some more damage onto the bot side turret, but we already have the Lulu coming up. I don't necessarily think that they're going to have enough time to take down this turret to have a trade here.
Yeah, it's going to be close.
Kalista is coming up now, but she is still a little bit far away. They might have enough. The TP coming in from the Renekton. It looks like they're actually going to be able to take this one off. The Renekton now jumping in, but it looks like the dive. And an amazing Q, and that's going to be a triple kill from the Renekton. I don't know if you can have a more worthwhile teleport than what the Renekton just had on that one.
And
but while all this is going on, it looks like LeBlanc fighting the Annie with the help of the Jarvan, managing to pick up a kill in the main lane as well. So already just 4.5 minutes into this game, we're sitting at 5-1 with over 1,000 gold lead in favor of the blue team.
Yeah, that's a huge lead at this point in the game, 2,500. Just overall great plays there from Artificial Gravity. You know, they were able to rotate that Lulu down and delay the tower, taking a little bit. She cleared a couple minions, so they weren't quite able to kill it. And then after, the Renekton TP's in and is able to clean up with the use of his flash and gets that triple kill. And they're able to take down this tower. They had a big wave pushing and 3 members there to push it in right to the tower. So 2 towers to 1 here for Artificial Gravity.
3.5k gold lead in favor of the blue side. That is a pretty substantial amount of a gold lead, but it looks like the Vi has managed to sneak her way into this Tri-Brush, but looks like the Renekton just not wanting to really go anywhere near that is going to just get away from this one. But while all this is going on, it looks like the blue side, with absolutely no vision from the red team, are going to go for that dragon. A little bit of a missed rend on that one, but nothing to complain about. It didn't look like the red team was coming in at all to try to contest that first dragon of the game.
Yep, just a level 1 rend, so not doing too much damage. And they're just going to work on probably clearing out vision around the mid lane and setting up their own. As I say that, they're all just going to back, but they'll probably try and pressure this mid tower because they got both the outer towers. So Kalista will slowly work to push this top lane up. We see her going to pick up this big wave at the top. And during that time, they'll keep the mid waves pushed and eventually rotate the Kalista over to take that tower.
So it looks like the LeBlanc just kind of utilizing, she is actually maxing her distortion first. Kind of 2 different ways that I've seen LeBlanc be built, maxing that distortion for the minimal amount of cooldown on that one. But I've also seen the Sigil of Silence, her Q being maxed as well to try to get that additional damage off from mimicking that. But looks like the stun coming out from the Annie, but not really doing much of anything for the LeBlanc, because additionally with her build, she's chosen to go for that Negatron Cloak, which means that she's probably going to be building that into a fairly early Abyssal Scepter to deal with the damage that's going to be coming out from a level 6 Annie.
Yeah, the magic resist there, just keeping her very safe from that Annie. Usually you do see that distortion max because it's just better for wave clear, and in the early game you want to be able to push the enemy mid laner into the tower whenever possible. So Annie just trying to farm up. No vision here on the Rift Herald, so another uncontested objective. So good moves here from Artificial Gravity, and they have a safe Kalista up in top just solo farming here. So
I bet you they put it on the Renekton too. Did they put it on the Renekton? They totally put it on the Renekton. Yeah, they did put it on the Renekton. Knew it. So
got that triple kill.
They are definitely, with this large minion wave that they currently have in the top lane, I think they're just going to send 4 members up here with the Rift Herald buff as well. Not going to show it immediately, but they could either dive the Darius or they're going to at least try to take down this turret. But the important thing is that Vi is currently here. We had a solo kill in the mid lane. The LeBlanc, it's nothing to be... It's not unexpected for a LeBlanc to kill an Annie this early into the game, especially when she's quite a bit of CS above. But it looks like we might have a team fight here in just a second, but maybe not. The Vi is going to go in against 4 members of the enemy team. She is going to take a lot of damage here. Not level 6 to get out of this one, and Renekton's going to get, I believe, his 4th kill of the game. Jarvan taking a little bit of damage from this Darius, but he does now have a lot of spears in him. Doesn't really want to get rended for a big chunk of his damage, but now with the Vi down and also the Annie just rising now, the Vayne not being anywhere in sight, being down in the bot lane farming, looks like they're going to use these Rift Herald minions to just try to tank down this turret here as well. This could be an inhibitor turret at about 8 minutes in the game. Do they have the guts to stay here, though?
Just being so far pushed up so early just shows the power of that Rift Herald.
Oh, my LeBlanc!
Getting that Ignite off.
But it looks like the Tim's coming down and having to get out of that one, but managing to secure a solid kill. And I guess that's why you max your Distortion Burst. That's why I'm not in this tournament, Alex.
Yeah, that's just another reason, because it just provides a lot of distance on your damage. Because you can double up on that distortion, and the Mimic distortion does a lot of damage when you max it out. So we saw there getting enough to take out the Soraka with that Ignite, and then going back all the way to the first distortion. Pretty standard LeBlanc play, but having the confidence to do that so deep in the enemy base at 8 minutes is definitely showing something for that LeBlanc.
But the one comment that I will make, and I don't know if he has it or not, but there was no spam of the level 5 champion mastery after that kill. So
that's a good point.
Bit of a misplay on the LeBlanc, I've got to say, but overall some great play. But we already have 4 members of the blue side just going in onto this first tier turret. The LeBlanc trying to get a kill onto the Vi, but just not going to be in range after the flash from the Vi to finish off that ethereal chains. Looks like the Renekton, while all this is going on, is just in the bot lane pushing back the Vayne. Normally you would see a Vayne dominating a Renekton, but he's 4-0 and 1 is going to flash in and just annihilate the Tiamat damage. The Renekton is just huge right now. Snowballing alligator. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, he's already strong early game, and he was picking up that early triple kill, so that just gave him so much damage early on, and he's really using it to take over this game.
So it looks like the Kalista trying to use her ultimate to knock up the Darius to get more Ren stacks in him, but not being able to pick that one up. Got the flash out of the Darius, though. Lulu being kind of an interesting champion to have with the Kalista, because normally Lulu, not really the champion you expect to throw into the middle of an enemy team to take a lot of damage, but some interesting synergy, though, throwing her in, knocking everybody up, and then knocking everybody up again with her wild growth. But of course, while I'm talking about that, Annie being taken down again in the mid lane, it seems, this LeBlanc is just getting a little bit out of control, and fact of the matter is, when you're building something like Rod of Ages first, you're not going to have the sustainability to deal with this LeBlanc.
Yeah,
but Renekton going in again, just immediately going to insta-give that Soraka. Looks like a lot of damage going down onto the Lulu from the turret, and the final, the Silver Bolt proc coming from the Vayne is going to be enough to take down the Lulu, even through wild growth, but looks like the Renekton once again jumping in, getting a solid couple hits, and picks up, I think, his 6th kill of the game. And look at this LeBlanc go! Just juking right out of that one, and now Jarvan comes in, showing off his best Cavs NA. But it looks like the Timbers is going to go down onto the Jarvan. Wow. Cataclysm going to come out as well. The Ignite currently ticking. Vayne going to pick up her 2nd kill of the game. So it's, don't get me wrong, things are looking a little bit dire for the red team. But if Vayne is the one picking up all the kills, I think we've said this multiple times during this tournament, but maybe this could ring true, that maybe if the Vayne gets ahead, there could be something for this team.
Yeah, that is going to be their pathway back to success. She is 20 CS up or so on that Kalista, and working towards some items, but we can see that the Kalista is ahead in items currently just because of the global gold of all the towers. 10,000 gold lead right now for Artificial Gravity, 14-3 here, so it's going to be tough for them
Ethereal
to come
Chains
back.
landing onto the Soraka, trying to heal herself up with the ultimate, but it's going to be nowhere near enough to actually fend off the LeBlanc.
Darius might ult.
Darius going onto the Kalista, not going to get it off in time. Mid-dunk is going to be taken down by Kalista.
Yeah, so they're just going to keep pressuring these towers. They're going to slowly work into the base, trying to get all 6 outside the base and then work on the inhibitor tower. It's just the safest way to go about things, especially when you have a lead this big.
I've got to say as well, if I saw this at 12 minutes into the game, that a Renekton has a Tiamat, a completed Ghostblade, Boots of Swiftness that have been upgraded.
No deaths.
That is absolutely terrifying, but just kind of looking, so while we're talking about this, looks like the blue team just kind of opting to go for the Dragon, but the Vayne going in onto the Febrenekton, the ultimate being used right now. What an amazing amount of damage! What was that?
I don't know how that happened.
Oh my goodness, Vayne just... I got to admit, fantastic play from the Vayne, but it looks like the Vi going to try to get in onto this Renekton. His ultimate is still up, and the chunking damage coming from this Renekton, the Assault and Battery going onto the Renekton as well, is finally going to be shut down by the Vi, but the amount of damage coming out of this Renekton is unbelievable.
Yeah, he 100-0 that Vayne. I can't believe that happened. He was at maybe 10% HP himself, and able to take out the Vayne 100-0, just uses all of his abilities with the Tiamat proc. And
we have to give credit, I think, to the Vayne that, you know what, lining up her condemn, she played it perfectly. I don't think if anybody was playing the Vayne right now would have expected to be 100-0 in like 2 abilities from the Renekton at this point in the game. Used her Blade of the
Ruined King even too, so used everything properly, but wasn't ready for that type of damage. And the same thing can happen to her from the LeBlanc too. So pretty grim.
Not good for the ADC for the enemy team right now.
That's not what you want to see, especially. If we take a look at the Vi build, just on the Cinderhulk jungle item there, so not too tanky, and also has to respect the threat of the damage from both the Renekton and the LeBlanc.
We've also got to talk just a little bit here, because we haven't really discussed it previously, but just looking at the difference in the CS scores, we do have in the top lane 89-50, a huge lead in favor of the Renekton, fairly even in the jungle, just, oh my goodness, can't even get a word out because the Soraka's already dead, just the damage coming out of the LeBlanc, but that's also assisted, here's the transition, that's assisted by the almost 30 CS lead from the LeBlanc. 89-58. In the bot lane, it's actually quite even. 88 in favor of the Vayne to the 80 of the Kalista. But actually a pretty big support difference, 18-3. So it's all leading up to a fairly substantial gold lead. About a 12k gold lead in favor of the blue side.
Mostly from the global gold, as we said, the Rift Herald and all the towers. But as far as the top laners go, we can go all the way back to that beginning fight for how Renekton got this advantage. And even before that, with the lane swap, if we recall that the Renekton was able to get that solo gold on the tower. That early 350, I believe, gold is so important, and just gives him such a big spike over the Darius.
Wow, so it looks like a lot of damage going down onto the Vine. Not
They
enough to
can't
clean her
stop
up,
them.
but Rift Herald once again being on the Renekton, and it's just going to push down this inhibitor. It's amazing how quickly this team has managed to pull all these things off. First inhibitor of the game about 16 minutes in, but it looks like the Annie tried to jump in here to get a Flash Timbers off, but not going to be enough. Is going to be taken out by Best Cavs NA, which I have to admit is a fantastic name. I hope it's actually true that his Cavs are the best in NA. But it looks like we have a lot of damage going down from the Vayne, being able to take down the Kalista. Shutdown bonus going to the Vayne. The Renekton, now the Fed member of the team going in, is going to survive for right now, but it looks like the Polymorph going down onto the Vayne. Is it going to be enough to clear the Renekton? Could he take this? It's not. There's going to be a shutdown for the Vayne.
Gosh.
So they're definitely not out of this yet, but a lot of shutdowns being taken down, so a lot of team gold going in favor of the red team. But do you think it's a little bit too late, Alex, with almost 2 inhibitors down near?
I don't know, Twigger. They're not out of it yet, but I will say they're as close as they can get to being out of it. Once you lose all of your inhibitors, it's a rough place to be coming back with it being so early in the game. It can be hard to take out those super minions with early levels under your belt.
Yeah, we can at least talk about one thing in the sense that when an inhibitor is down, the buffs on the minions are going to have everything go into your base, and it gives you some time to actually free farm. Sometimes having an inhibitor down when you're this far behind is actually a good thing. Because it allows your team to just focus on farm, focus on getting some items, and then in the next team fight, you might have the items and the positioning and the damage to maybe come out with a surprise win.
Yeah.
It's definitely a long shot for the red side, but as long as the blue team doesn't go in and push another inhibitor down, or if they have difficulties kind of closing this game out, this could be just what the red team needs to get their farm up and try to get the items that they need to hopefully deal some more damage.
Yeah, it's definitely true that if nothing else happens on the map, they're going to get that constant stream of minions. So, as you said, going to be able to farm them up. If we just take a look, whoa, another pick there from the LeBlanc, and that's going to give them that free inhibitor there.
I don't think we're ever actually going to see... Oh
And
my
there we saw
goodness.
the end of that one.
So once again, and we see the lull coming out of the Vayne, because I think we're all thinking the same thing, that it is just impossible to deal with the damage coming out of this Renekton right now. The Ethereal Chain's going to land onto the Vi. She is now kind of a fish out of water here. Going to get out of the Cataclysm with a very nice Q, but not going to be enough to get rid of the damage coming from Renekton. I think they're probably just going to go for the end of this game. It was an... Oh my, not going to be enough to clean up the Annie in her fountain, but... It looks like Artificial Gravity going to be able to secure the win on this one, 17.5 minutes into the game. Just an absolute dominating performance from their lane swap to the double jungle to the triple kill for the Renekton in the bot lane. Not really a lot that the red team could do about this one, Alex.
Yeah, agreed. Just solid overall. Lane swaps, vision control, and rotations. Just taking out the towers in a very well-practiced order there. So, nice victory from AG.
So what does that put AG at now? Is that
I
5?
believe they're 4 wins, 1 loss.
4 wins, 1 loss. So definitely a team to look out for in this tournament. But the thing is that we have to talk about the next game is actually going to be Artificial Gravity going again, but against Supernova eSports. The Artificial Gravity is playing twice this game. So, guys, we're going to just take a short little break here while